Greetings, netizens of YouTube. Human nature has never ceased being a source of incredible fascination to me. Often it seems to me that people have a warped sense of priorities. A couple of days ago, I was on my way to the airport, rushing to catch a connecting bus, and I walked through a park where a number of refugees or migrants who had trekked from the Middle East were sleeping. It was late in the evening, but as I rushed past, I saw a couple of boys sitting on the ground beside the padlocked ice cream container, similar to the one you can see in the photo. At the same time, I could hear a random man inquire in the local language as to what the kids were up to. He must have realized they wouldn't understand him. He stopped and then he asked in an accusatory manner, "What are you doing?" As I continued on my way, I could feel my face flush in anger. It's possible that the fool was trying to show foreign kids that there are standards in this country, even though it's clear to almost all its citizens that this is patently false. But as I was charging up some steps towards the bus station, the thing that made me angry wasn't the false sense of standards or a suspicion that he wouldn't have said anything to a couple of local kids doing the same thing, although that didn't help. No, the thing that enrages me is the way that some people choose to have selective principles when A. there is no cost to them, B. more often than not, there are far more important matters at hand. So let's be clear. In a country that is awash with corruption, where politicians are lying through their teeth on a regular basis, where the independent media is almost non-existent, where the health service is falling apart, where many people live on the poverty line, where there is high unemployment, etc., etc., in this country, a man decides to stand up to two hungry children of about 11 and 6 years old who are fantasizing about gorging themselves on ice cream. He decides to stand up on behalf of the corporation that owns the container, manufactures the ice cream, and their insurers. A great sense of priorities. Last night, I read a story about how the British government employs more tax inspectors to tackle benefit fraud than those that deal with tax evasion. The Guardian states that benefits fraud costs the government £1.3 billion a year, according to official statistics, while the gap between tax owed and tax paid is put at £34 billion a year by officials. The 34 billion figure is considered conservative, and the real figure might be upwards of £100 billion. It goes without saying that this is outrageous and a prime example of misplaced priorities, and potentially a malicious desire to punish the less well off while going easy on those at the top. Alongside this, I'm minded to remember a survey about income that I can't locate right now, but I will attempt to interpret my recollection of its findings. Be aware that I might make an error in my interpretation. People don't like to feel that they are last in the queue of social and financial status. They feel better if there is a rung of people below them, or take comfort from it. They are less actively concerned with what's going on at the top, but they become angrier and more likely to take action when those either below them or on the same social class are doing better. It is quite feasible that an individual with a below average income who has a rich friend who cheats on their taxes would be less likely to notify the authorities than they would on another friend who is earning less money, but is receiving benefits he isn't entitled to. In other words, even though his poorer friend could be struggling, this individual doesn't want his friend to be better off than he is. By the same token, those with higher incomes I suspect would be more likely to go out of their way to inform on their rivals, rather than pick up the phone to ring the benefits cheat hotline. Although richer people obviously have the legal means of hiding their dubious financial arrangements. It's a pity I can't find the data to back my contention up, but perhaps this fictional scenario will resonate with you anyway. But this isn't where it ends for me. I'm constantly reminded of the seemingly illogical priorities that people seem to latch onto. You have American constitutionalists, for example, that think that as long as the Constitution is obeyed, we need do no more than all rest safely in our beds. You have Bible-thumping religious types who spend more time lecturing the rest of us about good and evil than actually attempt to become better people themselves. You have free speech absolutists, also somewhat unkindly called free speech fetishists, who obsess on this single issue to the exclusion of everything else. Starvation, famine, homelessness, poverty, unemployment, the huge divide between rich and poor are non-issues to the free speech warrior. Apart from the obsessiveness of the categories of some of these people, one can't fail to wonder what type of life experiences and, let's be honest, potential health conditions can cause such single-issue fixation and a lack of broader perspective. For the sake of fairness, yes, we can also categorize some radical feminists in with this category, along with the rabid anti-feminists. Those that are unable to see their single issue beyond the context of the class and country they are born in. It seems to me that humankind does not make it easy for itself. An insular perspective that is unable to see beyond the confines of one's own life is understandable to a degree. But not only does a single issue fixation mean that manifold other problems are ignored, it makes one ripe to be manipulated by politicians, corporations, and the self-interested who understand what keyword issues trigger our support. To some degree, perhaps we really do get the politicians we deserve.